In 2022, the Nissan Qashqai was not only the best-selling crossover/SUV in the UK, but the best-selling car overall. If that car is so popular, why would you even bother with this, the KIA Sportage? Well, keep watching to find out. Car Obsession is proudly supported by KIA and Draghi. Check out the video description to find out the latest discount codes. Well, for starters, the KIA Sportage can offer a big boot. For comparison, the Nissan Qashqai can offer 504 litres, which is far from awful, but the Sportage can better that with 591. As you can see, the opening for the boot is wide, square, practical, and there's no load lip. Therefore, loading bigger, heavier items or perhaps dogs should be a doddle. If you need more space in this car, you can of course fold down the 40-20-40 rear seats, which is as easy as pie because you have a lever either side which you can pull, and hey presto, the rear seats are now folded down. They don't fold completely flat, but they should fold flat enough to enable you to get, let's say, a large IKEA flat pack in there with no trouble. There's no nasty lip or step between the boot floor and the back of the seats, so yes, it should be nice and practical for you. Now, I do have a gripe though. When you fold the rear seats back up, they lock in a 90-degree position, and unless your rear passengers are quite happy sitting bolt upright, what you'll have to do is this, bear with me. So, you need to go to the car, fold the seat back up, it locks at 90 degrees, and then you have to use the lever to use the recline function to fold them back a bit more. Not a hardship, but it's just annoying because, yeah, it's extra work. Come on, Kia, use your noggin. Anyway, moving away from that, you do have some practical elements in the boot, such as a hook either side in which you can hang up a bag of shopping, tethering hooks, a 12-volt socket, and you also have a little bit of storage underneath the boot floor. So overall, if you're looking for an SUV with a big practical boot, the Sportage should be on your list. Like the boot, rear space is impressive. As always, the driver's seat has been set for me. I'm 6'2", so I am of course a taller chap. Even so, as you will see in just a moment, I've got plenty of space in which to work with. In fact, Kia states that the Sportage has got class-leading legroom, and you know what? They're not lying. I've got a good amount of knee room and I have plenty of legroom, so I can really stretch out and relax because I can fit my feet underneath the driver's seat in front of me. It's worth noting this has been set to its lowest. In regard to headroom, that's ample. I've got plenty of it. I've got no complaints there. And better still, the rear seats recline. So with the pull of a lever, you can make yourself even more comfortable. Ah, look at that. Full lounge mode. Someone fetch me my slippers and a cup of tea, please. And some biscuits. Yeah, that would be very, very nice. Could you fit 3 adults in the back of the Sportage? I think you could, but it would be a bit of a squeeze. It is worth mentioning that there is a hump going down the middle of the car. Therefore, whoever sat in the middle will have to fight the other 2 passengers for space for their feet. The middle seat isn't raised much though, so even if I were sat in the middle seat, for example, I've still got a decent amount of headroom, which is good. Of course, this is very likely to be a family car, so what about ISOFIX points? Well, yes, this car has got them. It would be mad if it didn't. One thing that may be a little bit annoying though, you don't have any covers for them. You have to root around between the gap in the seats to find the points, which may be a little bit of an annoyance to some of you watching, but once the seat is fixed in place, it won't be an issue. Let's move things on to practicality. Oh, one thing I haven't mentioned, I almost forgot, the outer rear seats are heated if you go for the 3 trim level, which is what I've got here. So yes, on a nice cold winter morning or just in general, you can toast up your bum and it'd be very nice. Unless you're sat in the middle, you'll have to go without, you'll have a cold bum. That's no fun, is it? Anyway, let's move things on to practicality, so move away from derrieres. The practicality in the Sportage is pretty good. The door bins are of a good size. I've got a 500ml bottle there. You have an armrest in the middle, which has 2 cup holders, so again I can pop my bottle in like so. You don't get a feed through hatch, however, as I mentioned earlier, the rear seats are 40-20-40, meaning you can completely fold down the middle seat if you want to load longer items, so that is handy. There we go. You've got a little cubby hole down here for a few smaller items, Ventilation, map pockets, a hook on this side. You've got the Type-C USB ports in the side of the front seats, which is quite handy. It's quite snazzy. I like that. A bit cutting edge. You've also got these very handy hooks on the back of the seats. You may be able to see my bright orange shopping bag hanging from one of them. And that is a very handy feature. I like that. For example, if I owned this car and I were to take my daughter to nursery, I could hang up her little nursery bag on that hook there. I like that. Good thinking. You've also got these weird slots up here. Now, originally, I thought it was so you could put a tablet in there and watch something whilst on the move, but I realised that wouldn't work because this bit would cut off half the screen. But let's say, for example, you've used your tablet and you want to pop it away and just store it. I reckon that is what this is designed for, because you have a nice rubber lip in there to grip whatever's in place. I suppose you could hang it. I suppose you could use it as a hook to hang up your clothes as well. But yeah, a bit unusual, but that could potentially be ingenious. Overall, the Sportage, the back of it, is comfortable, spacious, and practical, which is what you want, really, isn't it? For those of you that watched my review of the last Sportage, you will know I wasn't a massive fan of the interior. It felt bland, a little bit dull, and a little bit behind the times. Thankfully, Kia has really stepped up the interior for the 5th generation. One thing that dominates the interior is this beautiful curved display, which essentially makes up 2/3 of the dashboard. In the middle, I've got a 12.3-inch touchscreen with DAB radio, Bluetooth, smartphone connectivity and navigation, and in front of me I've got a 12.3-inch digital display, and it all looks really up to date and bang on. I like it. Another thing I like is Kia hasn't fallen into the trap of burying the climate control details in the touchscreen. I have a separate panel down here, and although it is touch sensitive, I'd rather that as a compromise as opposed to having it in the touchscreen. So Kia, thumbs up from me. Now, because I'm in the 3 trim level, I've also got a heated steering wheel and heated front seats, which on a day like today is most welcome because it's still quite cold in the UK. In regard to practicality, I've got a good amount of it. With a bit of persuasion, you can just about fit in a 1 litre bottle of water or any fluid. I don't know why it has to be water, but yes, you will need to coax it in a little bit, like so. Get in there. There we go. You've got 2 cup holders in the middle, one of which is larger than the other. A little slot where I like to keep the key. Now, surprisingly, you don't get a wireless phone charging pad, but you do have a good amount of charging ports. So I've got an old style USB, a Type-C USB and a 12-volt socket, all down here towards the bottom of the centre console. You have some storage underneath the centre armrest, which is adjustable, but as you can see, when you have the armrest slid forwards, it kind of makes this it kind of makes this cup holder redundant. And I had the same complaint in the last Sportage. So Kia, you haven't learnt. But anyway, that is yeah, that's a small complaint. A decent amount of storage in here. There's no additional charging ports, in case you're wondering. Another gripe on the cup holders, actually, depending on what size bottle you have in the front cup holder, when you're changing gear, I have found that the bottle can get in the way. So yeah, a little bit annoying. I've got one last gripe about the cup holders. I've never known myself to moan so much about cup holders, but bear with me in this one, because I think this is a good moan. I've driven this car in the dark a few times, and it would be nice to have some ambient lighting in the cup holders. Therefore, when you're trying to put your bottle back, you can do it easily without having to really look at what you're doing and therefore taking your eyes off the road. So yeah, Kia, a little tip for you: illuminate the cup holders. That would be very handy, because I've found that I keep missing them when I'm driving in the dark. So yeah, bear that in mind. And last but not least, you've got a glove box which offers a good amount of space. So practicality, yep, is very good, as you would imagine in a car like this. I would like a sunglasses holder, but it's not the end of the world. Getting a good, comfortable driving setup is easy. The steering wheel adjusts for rake and reach. The front seats are electronically adjustable as standard on the 3 trim level, but you don't get any... I had to double check in case I was wrong. No, you don't get any memory function for the driver's seat. Therefore, if this car is to be shared within your family, let's say your spouse is a different height to you, then it will be a bit annoying having to continuously change the driving setup. Not the end of the world, but yeah, I don't understand cars that have electronically adjustable seats but don't have any memory function. I mean, it's a bit pointless. Sorry, I got distracted. Some old Citroens went by, 2 CVs and a... Oh, what that Citroen that James May drove on the Top Gear ages ago, the Estate. Anyway, I think it's about time we go for some driving. The last time I drove the Sportage was, of course, the 4th generation, and at the time, the one I had was the naturally aspirated 1.6 litre petrol, which in all honesty, was rather gutless and needed to be worked hard. This time around, I have the turbocharged 1.6 litre petrol. In fact, the NA engine is now no longer available. At first glance, the engine choice for the new Kia Sportage may look to be a little bit limited because there's just, well, a 1.6 litre turbocharged petrol, but you can have various levels of electrification. For example, the car I'm in now has got no electrification, so it's not a hybrid or a mild hybrid. No, this car is actually a little bit old-fashioned. I've got a 1.6 litre petrol and a manual gearbox. A manual gearbox in 2023? It almost seems a little bit of a rare occurrence, but you know what? I like it. It's straightforward. You know where you stand. Power is of course fed to the front wheels, but you can have the Sportage with all-wheel drive if you so desire. Now I will talk about the performance and economy in a few moments, but in case you want something that is a bit more efficient, a bit more greener, kinder to the environment, you can have this 1.6 litre petrol with either a 48 volt mild hybrid system, a full hybrid system, or a plug-in hybrid. So yes, you do have a few different ways in which you can have your Sportage, and this car is very much forward thinking, even though this iteration that I'm in right now does seem to be a little bit old hat. But like I say, I don't mind it. This engine, this setup, produces 150 horsepower along with 250 newton meters of torque. If you prefer that in pound-feet, that is 184. Now, I'm sure many of you aren't overly fussed about how fast this will get to 60 miles per hour, but in case you are, it will do it in just under 10 seconds, 9.9 to be exact. The top speed is 113 miles per hour, although let's be honest, you're never going to hit that, are you? So again, that is somewhat irrelevant. What isn't irrelevant though is of course the fuel economy. Now, as I've mentioned, this engine features no electrification, therefore it isn't the most efficient Sportage money can buy. On a combined run, Kia states that you can get up to 41.5 mpg and CO2 emissions are 154 grams per kilometre. Now, in regard to what economy I've been getting over the course of the week, well, let's have a look. Let's have a look on the display. I've been getting 32.8, which is far from impressive, but to be fair, I have done more town driving and I've also been stuck in traffic. After today's filming, I'm driving to Essex and back, which is a fair distance for me, so I may do a voiceover with an updated fuel economy figure. So on my way to Essex, I got a 41.8 mpg, and in fact that's the exact same figure I got on the way back as well. In case you're wondering what kind of fuel economy you can expect from the other versions of the Sportage powertrains, if you go for the mild hybrid, you can expect mpg up to around 44 mpg on a combined run. If you go for the full hybrid, that increases to around 49, and if you go for the plug-in hybrid, you get a theoretical range, because of course that can be driven in an EV only, a theoretical range of 252 miles to the gallon. Realistically, you probably won't get that, but it gives you some form of idea. Now, those are the numbers out of the way. How does the Sportage actually drive? Well, unlike the last one I had, which was naturally aspirated, I don't have to rev the nuts of this car to get any kind of progress. To drive, this is a good car. Like the last Sportage, the 6-speed manual gearbox hasn't got the smoothest of changes, but it's okay enough for the casual driver. It will be just fine. I do have a choice of driving mode, so I've got a button down here. I can either choose from Eco normal or sport. Let's pop it in sport, why not? Not really a sporty car, but hey, sport is in the name, Sportage. So yes, let's have a bit of sport. The engine is responsive. It makes a relatively nice thrum as you get towards the rev limiter, but when you want to just lay back and relax at cruising speeds, oh blimey, that was a bit of a stone. What was that? Something must have flicked up from the road. Anyway, where was I? Yes, refinement is very good in the Sportage. Using my sound meter earlier at 70 miles per hour, I recorded a decibel of 67.5, which is actually one of the lowest I've had in any car I've tested. It may even be the lowest, so that is very, very impressive. When it comes to price, the Kia Sportage has a starting price of £27,800 and is available in 4 trim levels: 2, 3, GT Line and GT Line S. The model tested here is the 3 version, which has a starting price of £32,000. Standard features include 18-inch alloys, keyless entry and start, heated front seats and outer rear seats, heated steering wheel, adaptive cruise control, cloth and leather seats, 12.3-inch touchscreen with navigation and smartphone connectivity, 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster, climate control, front and rear parking sensors, reversing camera, as well as a good host of safety systems. At the time of filming, the Sportage is yet to be crash tested by Euro NCAP, but with features such as autonomous emergency braking, ESC, speed limit assist, lane following assist, multi-collision brake and lane keep assist, it's bound to score high. The Sportage, credit where credit's due, it drives nicely. It's through the corners, it's surprisingly flat. I wouldn't go so far to say it's fun, but again, this is a family SUV. It's designed to be practical, spacious and comfortable. Speaking of comfort, yeah, I've had no issues this week. The seats are nice and comfortable, they're supportive. I've got lumbar support. It would be nice to have a memory function for the driver's seat, but hey, there's worse things in life. Yes, to go back to the driving sensation, that is pleasing in this car. If you want a more involved drive or perhaps a more rewarding drive, perhaps look at something like a Seat Ateca, for example. But for what this car is, Kia has done well. You can tell that a lot of work has gone into making this car fit for European roads. Visibility is absolutely fine, no problems there. Yes, the A-pillars are quite chunky with it being an SUV, but I'm yet to reach a point where they have hindered my visibility. The windscreen is nice and large, no problems there. Door mirrors are of a good size, seeing over the shoulder is fine. And although the rear window isn't the deepest, rear visibility out the back is just fine. The Sportage has been an easy car to live with. It is a larger car, but it's easy to manoeuvre. And if you go for the 3 trim level, you do get a reversing camera as well as front and rear parking sensors. That's handy. In fact, I believe you get those on the base model, the 2. The Nissan Qashqai may be the best selling car in the UK right now, but don't let that put you off buying the Kia Sportage. The Sportage offers a bigger boot and is more spacious in the rear. It has a longer warranty, better features as standard for the base model, and has more powertrain options. I'd also say the Sportage is better to drive and has a nicer interior. So, should you buy, try or avoid the Kia Sportage? Well, I think it's clear. You should buy it. A big thank you for Kia UK for loaning me the car for the week, and of course a big thank you to you guys watching this video. If you have enjoyed it or found it useful, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. If you are subscribed, don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified every time I make a video. But until the next time guys, be sure to keep up the car obsession.